Mommy, is the bad man here? Yun's hand freezes over his phone. The screen glows in the darkness of their tiny Busan apartment, illuminating 4 small faces pressed against his legs. His youngest son, Miho, stares up at him with eyes too knowing for a 5-year-old. Outside, footsteps echo in the stairwell. Slow, deliberate, climbing. Yun's thumb hovers over the emergency contact he's never dared to use. His breath comes shallow, trapped somewhere between his chest and his throat. The boys are silent now. Even Dae-hoon, who cries at everything, has gone still. Another footstep. Closer. The phone buzzes in his palm. I know where you are. The text has no name attached. It doesn't need one. Yun would recognize that clipped, emotionless tone anywhere. 5 years of running, 5 years of looking over his shoulder, and somehow he'd convinced himself this day would never come. The door handle turns. Yun shoves the boys toward the bedroom. Go. Now. Under the bed. Don't come out until I say. But Mommy. Now. Jae-hoon, the oldest by 3 minutes, grabs his brother's hands and pulls them away. He moves with the same cold efficiency Yun has spent 5 years trying to forget. The bedroom door clicks shut. The front door opens. And Kang Ryoon stands in the threshold. He looks older. Harder. The sharp angles of his face have turned to edges that could cut. His black suit is immaculate, expensive, the kind of thing that costs more than Yun's monthly rent. But his eyes are devastated. They sweep the cramped apartment. The peeling wallpaper. The toys scattered across the worn carpet. The laundry hanging from a makeshift line in the corner. Then they land on Yun, and something in them cracks. Yun. His voice is exactly the same. Low. Rough. The kind of voice that used to whisper promises against Yun's skin in the dark. Yun's hands ball into fists. Get out. Ryan doesn't move. His gaze drifts past Yun to the closed bedroom door. Are they here? I said get out. I've been searching for 5 years. Ryan takes 1 step inside. Just 1. 5 years, Yun. I thought you were dead. You were supposed to think that. The words land like a slap. Ryan's jaw tightens, but he doesn't flinch. He never flinches. That was always the problem. Kang Ryoon, the most feared alpha in Seoul's underworld, felt nothing. Showed nothing. Loved nothing. Except he's looking at Yun like he's looking at a ghost. Before I tell you what happened, Yun says, his voice shaking, you need to understand that I'm not going back. Subscribe to Obsessed Hearts if you want to know why I ran. And tell me where you're watching from, because I want witnesses to what I'm about to say. Ryan's brow furrows slightly. What are you? I heard Director Han on the phone. The words pour out of Yun like poison. The night before I left. He said once I gave birth, they'd eliminate me. That you didn't need distractions. That the Kang bloodline would finally have heirs, and I was just the incubator. Ryan goes very, very still. So I ran, Yun continues. I stole cash from your safe. I burned my SIM card. I disappeared because I knew if I stayed, I'd lose them. I'd lose everything. Yun. No. Yun's voice breaks. You don't get to say my name like that. You don't get to stand here and look at me like you cared. You let Han talk about me like I was disposable. You let him plan my death, and you said nothing. Ryan takes another step forward. His hands are trembling. Kang Ryoon, who has killed men with those hands, who has built an empire on blood and fear, is trembling. I killed him, Ryan says quietly. Yun freezes. What? Director Han. Ryan's voice is hollow, empty of everything except exhaustion. The night you disappeared, I went to your room. You were gone. Your clothes, your photos, everything. I knew someone had warned you. So I checked the security footage. He pulls out his phone. His fingers are still shaking as he scrolls through old files. He turns the screen toward Yun. It's a video, dated 5 years ago. Security camera footage of a dimly lit office. Director Han sits behind a desk, phone pressed to his ear. His voice is tinny through the speaker, but the words are clear. Asterisk. Once the Omega delivers, we'll eliminate him. The Alpha doesn't need distractions. The Kang bloodline will finally have heirs. Asterisk. The camera angle shifts. Ryan enters the frame. Han looks up, startled. His mouth opens to speak. Ryan pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head. No hesitation. No words. Just the sharp crack of a gunshot and Han's body slumping forward onto the desk. Yun's knees buckle. He catches himself on the wall, breath coming in shallow gasps. Ryan pockets his phone. I burned the entire network looking for you. I dismantled every contact, every informant, every ally who might have helped you disappear. His voice cracks. I thought you'd come back once you knew he was dead. But you never did. I didn't know, Yun whispers. I know. Silence stretches between them, thick and suffocating. Somewhere in the bedroom, one of the boys coughs softly. Ryan's head snaps toward the sound like a hound catching a scent. How many? He asks. Yun's throat closes. Ryun. Asterisk how many? Asterisk. 4. The word hangs in the air like a verdict. Ryan's face goes blank. Not cold, not emotionless, but blank, like his mind has simply stopped processing information. 4, he repeats. Quadruplets. The doctors said it was rare. 1 in every. Are they mine? The question is so absurd that Yun almost laughs. You bonded me, Ryan. You marked me. Who else would they belong to? Ryan's hands clench and unclench at his sides. He looks at the bedroom door again, and this time there's something raw and desperate in his expression. Can I see them? No. Yun, you don't get to walk in here and demand to see them. You don't get to. The bedroom door creaks open. 4 small faces peek out. Jaehoon stands at the front, his expression cool and assessing. Daehoon clings to his brother's shirt, eyes wide and terrified. Taejun clutches a toy truck like a weapon. And Miho. Miho stares at Ryun with the same dark, penetrating gaze his father has. You're the man from my dreams. Ryan's breath leaves him in a rush. He takes a half step forward, then stops, like he's afraid of spooking them. His eyes move from face to face, cataloging every feature, every expression. Jaehoon has Ryan's bone structure, his sharp jawline, his calculating gaze. Daehoon has Yun's soft features, his vulnerability, his need for comfort. Taejun is a storm in miniature, all raw energy and barely contained violence. And Miho is terrifyingly intelligent, his eyes too old for his small face. Ryan drops to his knees. The movement is so sudden, so uncharacteristic, that Yun startles. Kang Ryoon doesn't kneel. Not for business partners, not for rival bosses, not for anyone. But here he is, on the floor of Yun's shabby apartment, eye level with 4 boys who have no idea who he is. I'm your father, Ryan says. His voice is steady, but his hands are shaking so badly he has to press them flat against his thighs. My name is Kang Ryoon, and I've been looking for you every day since you were born. Jaehoon steps forward first. He studies Ryan with clinical precision, then executes a perfect bow. The kind of formal, respectful bow that only children raised in mafia families know how to do. Yun's blood runs cold. Jaehoon. But Jaehoon straightens and says, in a voice far too mature for a 5-year-old, It's an honor to meet you, father. Ryan's composure shatters. His eyes glisten, and for the first time in the decade Yun has known him, tears slide down Kang Ryoon's face. Daehoon bursts into tears and runs back into the bedroom. Taejun hurls his toy truck at Ryan's chest. It bounces off harmlessly, but the intent is clear. And Miho simply tilts his head and asks, Why did you let mommy run away? Ryan's throat works. Because I was a coward. That's not a good reason. No, Ryan agrees. It's not. Yun's vision blurs. He presses his palms against his eyes, trying to force back the tears, the exhaustion, the overwhelming weight of 5 years crashing down on him all at once. He's so tired. So impossibly tired. And now Ryan is here, kneeling on the floor, crying in front of their sons, and Yun doesn't know what to do with any of it. You need to leave, Yun says. His voice is barely a whisper. Please. Just go. Ryan rises slowly. He doesn't take his eyes off the boys. I can't. Ryan. They know about them. Ryan's voice is flat, businesslike, the mask sliding back into place. The Jung Syndicate. The Park family. The Choi Consigliera. Every rival organization in Seoul knows you gave birth to 4 heirs. And they all want them. Yun's stomach drops. How? Someone leaked it. I don't know who yet. But the moment I found you, they did too. Ryan finally looks at him, and the fear in his eyes is so foreign that Yun almost doesn't recognize him. You can't run this time, Yun. They'll hunt you across the country. Across the world if they have to. Then what am I supposed to do? Let me protect you. The words are so simple. So impossible. Yun laughs, bitter and broken. You want me to trust you? After everything? No. Ryan's jaw tightens. I want you to let me prove that I'm not the man I was 5 years ago. He stops. Swallows hard. I want to be their father. I want to keep you safe. A brick crashes through the window. Glass explodes across the apartment. Yun throws himself in front of the boys, shielding them with his body. Ryan moves like lightning, gun already in his hand, scanning for threats. The brick lands at Yun's feet. There's a note tied to it with wire. Ryan picks it up. His face goes pale as he reads. What does it say? Yun asks. Ryan's hand clenches around the note, crumpling it. But Yun can still see the words scrawled in red ink. The 4 lost princes belong to the syndicate now. Jae-hoon steps forward, calm and collected despite the glass scattered around his bare feet. Father, do we run or do we fight? Ryan looks at his son, really looks at him, and something shifts in his expression. Pride, grief, determination. We fight, Ryan says. Then he looks at Yun. But only if your mother agrees. Yun stares at the shattered window, at the blood-red note, at his 4 sons standing in the wreckage of their fragile peace, at Ryoon, who killed for him once and would clearly do it again. 5 years of running, 5 years of fear, 5 years of raising 4 boys alone while looking over his shoulder. He's so tired. Okay, Yun whispers. Ryan's eyes widen. Yun, but if you betray me again, Yun says, his voice steady despite the tears streaming down his face, I will disappear and you will never find us. Do you understand? Ryan nods. I understand. And you don't get to take them from me. Ever. They're mine. They're ours. The possessiveness in Ryan's voice sends a shiver down Yun's spine. But it's not fear. It's something else. Something dangerous and familiar and terrifying. Jae-hoon tugs on Ryan's sleeve. Father, we should leave now. They'll send more. Ryan crouches down again, meeting his son's eyes. You're right. Get your brothers ready. We're going somewhere safe. As the boys scramble to pack, Ryan stands close to Yun. Too close. His scent, cedar and smoke and something uniquely him, wraps around Yun like a memory. I won't let them take you again, Ryan murmurs. Yun doesn't look at him. You already did once. I know. Ryan's hand hovers near Yun's face, not quite touching. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure it never happens again. The safe house is 2 hours north. We leave in 5 minutes. Ryan's voice cuts through the chaos of the apartment. He's on his phone, barking orders in rapid-fire Korean to someone on the other end. His free hand guides Jae-hoon toward a duffel bag, showing him how to pack efficiently. Clothes rolled tight, essentials only. Yun watches from the kitchen doorway, numb. His sons move around the apartment like small soldiers, following Ryan's instructions with unsettling precision. Even Dae-hoon has stopped crying, though his hands shake as he stuffs his favorite blanket into a backpack. This isn't how it was supposed to go. 5 years of careful invisibility, shattered in one night. Ryan ends the call and crosses to Yun in 3 strides. Do you have documents? Passports? Anything that proves they're yours. Birth certificates. Hidden in the... Get them. Now. The command in his voice makes Yun bristle, but he moves anyway. He pulls a lockbox from beneath the bathroom sink, hands trembling as he enters the combination. Inside are 4 birth certificates, each listing father, unknown in cold, bureaucratic print. Ryan takes them carefully, studying each one. His thumb traces over Jae-hoon's name, then Dae-hoon's, Taejin's, Miho's. When he looks up, his eyes are red-rimmed. You did this alone. It's not a question, but Yun answers anyway. I didn't have a choice. You always had a choice. You could have. Could have what? Yun's voice rises. Come crawling back to the man who let his advisor plan my murder? Raised our sons in a world where they'd be weapons before they were children. Ryan's jaw clenches. He carefully places the certificates in his jacket pocket. We don't have time for this conversation. We're never going to have time for this conversation. Then we'll make time. Ryan's hand shoots out, gripping Yun's wrist, not hard, but firm enough to stop him from turning away. But right now, I need you to trust me long enough to get them somewhere safe. Can you do that? Yun wants to say no. Wants to rip his hand free and run again, the way he's been running for 5 years. But Taejun is watching them with wide eyes, and Miho is too quiet, and Dae-hoon is clinging to Jae-hoon's leg like he might disappear if he lets go. Fine, Yun whispers. But this doesn't mean. Glass shatters in the bedroom. Ryan moves before Yun can process what's happening. He shoves Yun behind him, gun already drawn, body angled to shield the doorway. Jae-hoon, get your brothers into the bathroom. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me or your mother. Jae-hoon nods once, sharp and efficient, and herds his brothers away. Taejun protests. I want to fight. But Jae-hoon clamps a hand over his mouth and drags him along. The apartment goes silent except for Yun's ragged breathing and the distant sound of footsteps in the bedroom. Ryan's voice drops to barely a whisper. How many exits? 1. The front door. Fire escape? Broken. Landlord never fixed it. Ryan curses under his breath. He pulls out his phone with his free hand, typing rapidly. Reinforcements are 3 minutes out. We hold until then. 3 minutes is. A man steps out of the bedroom. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing tactical gear and a mask. He sees Ryoon and freezes for half a second, long enough for Ryan to fire. The shot goes wide. The intruder ducks back into the bedroom, and suddenly there are voices, multiple voices, coordinating in clipped Mandarin. Young syndicate, Ryan mutters. They move fast. Another crash, this time from the kitchen window. Yoon spins to see a second masked figure climbing through, boots crunching on broken glass. Ryan fires twice. Both shots hit center mass. The intruder drops. But there are more footsteps now, heavy and deliberate, coming from the stairwell outside. The front door shudders under a heavy impact. Once. Twice. They're breaching, Ryan says, his voice eerily calm. He backs toward the bathroom, keeping himself between Yoon and every possible entrance. When I tell you to run, you take the boys and you go out the front door. My men will be in the hallway. Don't stop for anything. Understand? What about you? I'll be right behind you. Ryan. The front door explodes inward. 3 men pour through, weapons raised. Ryan fires in rapid succession. 1, 2, 3 shots. 2 men drop. The third dives behind the couch. Ryan's hand finds the bathroom door handle. He wrenches it open without looking away from the intruders. Yoon now, but Yoon can't move. His legs are locked, his breath trapped somewhere in his chest. He's seeing the blood spreading across the cheap carpet, the bodies crumpled in his kitchen, his living room, and all he can think is my sons were just playing here this morning. Yoon! Ryan's voice cracks through the paralysis. Get them out. The man behind the couch rises, gun aimed at Ryan's head. Yoon moves without thinking. He lunges forward, crashing into Ryan's side just as the shot rings out. They go down together in a tangle of limbs, the bullet punching a hole in the wall where Ryan's head had been. Ryan rolls, positioning himself on top of Yoon, shielding him with his entire body. He fires blind over his shoulder. The gunman drops. For a moment, they're frozen, Ryan's weight pressing Yoon into the floor, his breath hot against Yoon's ear, his heartbeat thundering against Yoon's chest. You could have been killed, Ryan says, his voice raw. So could you. Ryan pulls back just enough to look at him. His eyes are wild, desperate, nothing like the cold alpha Yoon remembers. Don't do that again. Then don't ask me to leave you behind. Heavy footsteps echo in the stairwell. But these are different. Organized. Professional. Ryan's body relaxes slightly. That's mine, he says. 6 men in black tactical gear flood the apartment, weapons raised, moving with military precision. They clear each room in seconds, confirming the threats are neutralized. One of them, older, scarred, built like a tank, approaches Ryan. Sir, the perimeter is secure. We have vehicles waiting. Casualties. 3 hostiles down here. 2 more in the stairwell tried to intercept us. They're handled. Ryan nods and finally pushes himself off Yoon. He offers a hand. Yoon stares at it for a long moment before accepting. The bathroom door creaks open. Jaehoon peers out, assessing the situation with frightening composure. Behind him, Daehoon is sobbing into Miho's shoulder, and Taejun clutches his toy truck so hard his knuckles are white. Father, Jaehoon says quietly. Are we safe now? Ryan crosses to them in 2 strides and drops to 1 knee. For now, but we need to leave. Can you be brave a little longer? Jaehoon nods. Miho steps forward, his 2 old eyes studying the blood on the carpet. Did you kill them? Yes. Good. The casual acceptance in Miho's voice makes Yoon's stomach turn. He moves to his sons, pulling them close, trying to shield them from the carnage even though it's far too late. We need to go, Ryan says. He gestures to his men. Escort formation. The Omega and the children in the center. I take point. The scarred man, clearly Ryan's second-in-command, frowns. Sir, you should be protected. Let me. I take point, Ryan repeats, his voice leaving no room for argument. If anyone gets through to them, it's because they went through me first. The man nods once and signals to the others. They move as a unit through the shattered apartment, down the bloodstained stairs, and into the cold night air. 2 black SUVs idle at the curb, engines running. Ryan opens the rear door of the first vehicle and ushers Yoon and the boys inside. The interior smells like leather and gunpowder. Jaehoon climbs in first, followed by his brothers. Daehoon immediately curls into Yun's lap, still crying. Taejun sits rigid, staring out the window. Miho watches Ryoon with unblinking intensity. Ryan starts to close the door, but Miho's small hand shoots out, gripping his sleeve. "You're coming with us, right?" Something in Ryoon's expression softens. "Yes. Promise. I promise." Miho releases him, apparently satisfied. Ryan slides into the front passenger seat, and the convoy pulls away from the curb with practiced efficiency. Yun watches the apartment building disappear in the rearview mirror. 5 years of his life, reduced to a crime scene in under an hour. "Would you forgive someone who mistook your pain for love?" he asks quietly, though he's not sure who he's asking. Ryoon himself or the universe at large. Comment below. Ryoon glances back at him, confusion flickering across his face. But he doesn't ask. Maybe he understands that Yun isn't really talking to him. The drive is silent except for Daehoon's soft whimpering and the occasional crackle of the driver's radio. They leave the city behind, climbing into the mountains as dawn begins to break over the horizon. Jaehoon eventually falls asleep, his head resting against the window. Taejun follows soon after, exhaustion finally overwhelming his adrenaline. Miho stays awake, watching the landscape change from urban sprawl to dense forest. "Where are we going?" Yun asks. "Gangwon Province," Ryan answers without turning around. "Private estate. Belonged to my grandfather. It's off the books, no official records, no paper trail. The syndicate won't find it." "How can you be sure?" "Because I've been hiding there myself for the last 3 years." Yun blinks. "What?" Ryan's shoulders tense. "After you disappeared, I dismantled most of my operations. Kept only what was necessary to maintain control and fund the search for you. I spent more time in that house than in Seoul." "Why?" "Because every building, every street, every room in that city reminded me of you." Ryan's voice is barely audible over the engine. "I couldn't breathe there anymore." Yun doesn't know what to say to that. Doesn't know if he believes it. Kang Ryoon, who built an empire on ruthlessness and calculation, hiding in the mountains like a wounded animal. The SUV turns onto a narrow road, barely more than a dirt path cutting through the trees. They climb higher, the city lights fading to nothing behind them. Finally, they round a curve and the safe house comes into view. It's not what Yun expected. Not a fortress or a bunker, but a traditional Hanok estate. Elegant wooden structures with curved tile roofs, surrounded by stone walls and gardens. Lanterns glow softly in the pre-dawn darkness, casting warm light across carefully maintained pathways. It looks like a place where people live, not hide. The vehicles pull through the gates, which close immediately behind them with a heavy clang. Armed guards patrol the perimeter, but they're discreet, blending into the shadows. Ryan opens the door and offers his hand to help Yun out. Yun ignores it, gathering Daehoon in his arms and climbing out on his own. Jaehoon and Taejun follow, groggy and disoriented. Miho takes Ryan's hand instead, his small fingers wrapping around his father's with surprising trust. "This way," Ryan says. He leads them through a moon gate into a courtyard. The main house sits at the center, its windows glowing with warm light. Inside, the space is both modern and traditional. Sleek appliances hidden behind traditional cabinetry, underfloor heating beneath polished wood. A woman in her 60s emerges from the kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron. Her face is kind, weathered, with smile lines around her eyes. "Ryan, she says warmly, then stops when she sees Yun and the boys. Her eyes widen. "Oh, Aunt Mira," Ryan says, his voice gentler than Yun has ever heard it. "These are my sons, Jaehoon, Daehoon, Taejun, and Miho. And this is..." "Yun," Mira breathes. She crosses to them quickly, her eyes shining with tears. "The omega from the photographs. The one Ryan has been searching for." Yun stiffens. "Photographs." Mira gestures to the walls. Yun follows her gaze and his breath catches. The walls are covered with photographs. Not professional shots, but candid moments. Yun laughing at something off camera. Yun reading in a cafe. Yun sleeping in rumpled sheets with morning light painting his skin gold. Dozens of them, arranged like a shrine. "He kept every photo he ever took of you," Mira says softly. "Even after you disappeared. Especially after you disappeared." Yun's throat closes. He looks at Ryoon, who won't meet his eyes. "The boys need rest," Ryan says, his voice clipped and professional again. Aunt Mira prepared rooms. "I'll show you." He leads them down a hallway to a suite of interconnected rooms. 4 small beds in one room, clearly prepared for children. A larger room next door with a double bed and an ensuite bathroom. You and the boys can stay here, Ryan says. I'll be in the East Wing if you need anything. Wait, Yoon catches his sleeve before he can leave. The photographs. When did you take them? Ryan finally looks at him. His eyes are exhausted, haunted. Every moment I could. I wanted to remember what it felt like to see you happy. Before I ruined everything. He pulls free gently and walks away, leaving Yoon standing in the doorway with four sleeping boys and a chest full of words he doesn't know how to say. Father, can you teach me to shoot? Jaehoon's voice cuts through the morning quiet. Yoon freezes in the doorway of the kitchen, ceramic mug halfway to his lips. Through the window, he can see Ryan crouched in the courtyard garden with all four boys clustered around him. Ryan doesn't answer immediately. He's showing them how to identify different plants, medicinal herbs, Aunt Mira explained earlier, grown for traditional remedies. His hands move with surprising gentleness as he brushes soil from a root. No, Ryan says finally. Jaehoon's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. Disappointment, maybe. Or calculation. Why not? Because you're 5 years old. You were younger when you learned. Ryan's hands still. He looks at his son, really looks at him, and Yoon sees something crack in his carefully maintained composure. I was, and I wish I hadn't been. Jaehoon considers this with unsettling seriousness. But if bad men come again, then I handle them. Ryan's voice is firm but not harsh. Your job is to be a child. My job is to keep you safe enough to do that. Tae-joon, who's been digging aggressively in the dirt, looks up. What if you die? The bluntness of the question makes Yoon's chest tighten. But Ryan doesn't flinch. Then your mother protects you. And if something happens to both of us, he pulls out a small card from his pocket and hands it to Jaehoon. You call this number. The man who answers will take you somewhere safe and give you new names. You'll never have to be part of this world. Jaehoon studies the card, then tucks it carefully into his own pocket. I don't want a new name. I know. Ryan's hand hovers over Jaehoon's head, then settles gently in his hair. But sometimes we don't get what we want. Sometimes we just get to survive. Dae-hoon, who's been silent until now, suddenly launches himself at Ryan. His small arms wrap around Ryan's neck, and he buries his face in his father's shoulder. Ryan goes very still. His hands hover uncertainly in the air for a moment before settling around Dae-hoon's small body, holding him with the careful precision of someone handling something precious and breakable. I don't want you to die, Dae-hoon whispers. I don't plan to. Promise. Ryan's eyes close. I promise I'll fight like hell to stay alive. Miho, who's been observing everything with his usual unnerving intensity, tilts his head. That's not the same as promising you won't die. No, Ryan agrees. It's not, but it's the only honest promise I can make. Yoon's throat closes. He sets down the mug and turns away before they can see him, but he's not fast enough. Ryan's eyes find him through the window, and something passes between them. Understanding, maybe, or shared grief for the innocence their sons will never have. The days blur together in strange domesticity. Mornings, Ryan trains with his men while the boys eat breakfast. Aunt Mira makes too much food, pajeon, rice porridge, grilled mackerel, and fusses over the boys like they're her own grandchildren. She tells them stories about Ryan as a child, about the quiet boy who brought home injured animals and cried when he couldn't save them. Yoon watches Ryan's ears turn red during these stories, and something in his chest loosens despite himself. Afternoons, Ryan teaches the boys practical things. How to read maps. How to treat minor injuries. How to stay calm when scared. Jaehoon absorbs everything with mechanical efficiency. Tae-joon argues with every instruction. Dae-hoon needs constant reassurance. And Miho asks questions that make even Ryan pause. Father, if you had to choose between saving Mommy or saving us, who would you pick? They're in the library, a room lined with books and weapons in equal measure. Ryan is showing them how to build a fire without matches. He doesn't look up from the kindling. I'd find a way to save everyone. That's not an answer. Yes, it is. Ryan strikes the flint, sending sparks into the tinder. Because I refuse to accept a world where I have to make that choice. Miho considers this, then nods, apparently satisfied. But Yoon, listening from the hallway, knows it's a lie. Or maybe a prayer. The kind of promise you make knowing you might not be able to keep it, but needing to believe in it anyway. Evenings are hardest. The boys crash early, exhausted from fresh air and activity. Aunt Mira retires to her cottage at the edge of the property. The guards change shifts with military precision. And suddenly it's just Yoon and Ryoon in the too-quiet house, circling each other like satellites caught in the same gravity well. Tonight, Yoon finds Ryoon in the kitchen, methodically preparing tea. His jacket is off, sleeves rolled up, revealing the tattoos that mark him as Kang family. A dragon coiling up his left forearm. Characters down his right that spell out names, his grandfather's, his father's, his mother's. Names of the dead. Can't sleep? Ryoon asks without turning around. The boys are restless. New place, new beds. Yoon leans against the doorframe, maintaining distance. You. I don't sleep much anymore. Since when? Since you left. The admission hangs in the air between them. Ryoon pours tea into 2 cups, expensive oolong that Yoon recognizes from their old life. The scent alone is enough to trigger memories. Late nights in Ryoon's office, Yoon curled in the leather chair while Ryoon worked, the quiet intimacy of shared silence. Ryoon slides 1 cup across the counter toward him. Their fingers don't touch, but it's close. The boys are good kids, Ryoon says. You raised them well. I didn't have a choice. You had every choice. Ryoon's eyes meet his. You could have given them up. Found adoptive families. Started over. But you didn't. They're my sons. Ours. The possessiveness in Ryoon's voice sends heat down Yoon's spine. He takes a sip of tea to hide his reaction, but Ryoon's eyes track the movement of his throat as he swallows. Have you ever loved again after loss? Yoon asks quietly, staring into his cup. Share your story in the comments. Ryoon frowns. What? Yoon shakes his head. Nothing. Just thinking out loud. But Ryoon steps closer, and suddenly the kitchen feels smaller. I haven't. Haven't what? Loved again. Ryoon's voice drops. There's been no one else. Not in 5 years. Not ever. Yoon's breath catches. Ryoon. A scream tears through the house. They move as one, tea forgotten, racing down the hallway. The sound is coming from the boys' room. Taejin's voice, high and terrified, screaming words that don't make sense. Yoon reaches the door first, but Ryoon is faster. He's already across the room, gathering Taejin's thrashing body into his arms. No. No. Don't take mommy. Don't. Taejin's fists beat against Ryoon's chest, his eyes squeezed shut, still trapped in whatever nightmare has him. You're safe, Ryoon murmurs, his voice low and steady. You're safe. I've got you. They're shooting. Mommy's bleeding. Yoon's heart shatters. He moves toward them, but Ryoon shakes his head slightly. Trust me, his eyes say. Ryoon shifts, cradling Taejin against his chest. He starts humming, low, rhythmic, something that might be a lullaby. His hand moves in slow circles on Taejin's back. Listen to my heartbeat, Ryoon says. Focus on that. Nothing else. Just my heartbeat. Taejin's screams fade to sobs, then to shuddering breaths. His fists unclench slowly, gripping Ryoon's shirt instead of hitting him. That's it. You're doing so well. So brave. I saw bad men. They hurt mommy. Your mommy is right here. Safe. See. Ryoon turns slightly so Taejin can see Yoon in the doorway. No one's hurting him. Taejin's eyes crack open, red and swollen. He sees Yoon and immediately reaches for him. Yoon crosses the room in 2 steps, but instead of taking Taejin, he sits beside Ryoon on the small bed, creating a cocoon around their son. I'm okay, baby, Yoon whispers. I'm right here. Promise? Promise. Taejin's breathing gradually evens out. He stays curled between them, one hand fisted in Yoon's shirt, the other clutching Ryoon's. Across the room, Jaehoon sits up in his bed, watching silently. Daehoon and Miho are still asleep, somehow undisturbed. Stay, Taejin mumbles. Both of you. Yoon looks at Ryoon. In the dim light from the hallway, Ryoon's face is soft, unguarded. Vulnerable in a way Yoon hasn't seen since before everything fell apart. Okay, Ryoon says. We'll stay. They settle on either side of Taejin, the small bed forcing them close enough that Yoon can feel the heat radiating from Ryoon's body. Close enough that when Ryoon shifts slightly, their shoulders brush. Taejin falls asleep within minutes, his face slack and peaceful. But neither Yoon nor Ryoon moves. He saw the attack at the apartment, Ryoon says quietly. In his nightmare. The blood, the guns. He's processing it. He's 5 years old. He shouldn't have to process that. I know. Ryoon's voice is heavy with guilt. I'm sorry. I brought this to your door. They were already looking for us. Yoon stops. Takes a breath. You were right. I couldn't keep running forever. Ryoon's hand, resting on the bed between them, twitches slightly. like he wants to reach for Yun but doesn't dare. You're a good father, Yun says. The words feel pulled from somewhere deep in his chest. I watched you with them these past few days. The way you listen to Miho's impossible questions. The way you let Taejun win when you spar. The way you hold Daehoon when he's scared. The way you treat Jaehoon like a person, not a weapon. Ryan's throat works. I'm trying to be better than my father was. You already are. The silence that follows is charged with something Yun can't name. Want maybe. Or grief for time they've lost. Or the fragile, terrifying possibility of something new being built from the ruins of what they were. Carefully, slowly, Ryun's hand covers Yun's on the blanket. His touch is warm, slightly calloused, achingly familiar. Yun. But Jaehoon's voice cuts through the moment. Father. Is Taejun okay? Ryan pulls his hand back like he's been burned. He's fine. Just a nightmare. Jaehoon climbs out of his bed and pads over to them. He studies his brother's sleeping face, then looks at his parents. You should both sleep here. He'll wake up again if you leave. It's not a request, exactly. More like a logical conclusion. Yun's heart pounds. Jaehoon, the bed is too small. I'll get extra blankets. Jaehoon is already moving, pulling blankets from the closet with efficient precision. He spreads them on the floor beside Taejun's bed. You can sleep here. Like camping. Before Yun can protest, Jaehoon has created a makeshift sleeping area and is settling back into his own bed. Good night. Ryan looks at Yun, raising an eyebrow. Your call, the expression says. Yun looks at Taejun, still clutching both of them in his sleep. At Jaehoon, who's too clever for his own good. At the blankets on the floor that might as well be a chasm he's being asked to cross. Fine, he whispers. But stay on your side. Ryun's lips twitch in what might be amusement. Of course. They settle onto the floor, careful to maintain distance. But the space is small, and Taejun's hand dangles over the edge of the bed, resting on Yun's shoulder like an anchor. Yun lies on his back, staring at the ceiling, hyper-aware of every breath Ryan takes beside him. Thank you, Ryan says after a long silence. For trusting me with them. I don't trust you. Liar. Yun turns his head to glare at him, but Ryan is already looking at him. Their faces are inches apart. Close enough that Yun can see the flecks of gold in Ryan's dark eyes. Close enough to feel his breath. If I didn't trust you, Yun whispers, I would have taken them and run the second I had a chance. Why didn't you? Because Taejun called you father. Because Daehoon fell asleep in your arms. Because Jaehoon bows to you like you're worth respecting. Because Miho looks at you like you hung the moon. Yun's voice cracks. Because they need you. Even if you what? Yun's breath shudders. Even if I'm still angry at you. Even if I'm still afraid. Even if I don't know how to forgive what happened. Ryun's hand finds his in the darkness. Then don't forgive me. Just let me stay. Their fingers interlace. Yun's heart hammers against his ribs. Ryan's thumb traces small circles on his palm. Ryun. I know. Ryan's voice is barely audible. I know I don't deserve this. Don't deserve them. Don't deserve you. But I'm a selfish bastard, Yun. I always have been. And I'll take whatever you're willing to give me. Yun turns onto his side, bringing them even closer. Ryan mirrors the movement. They're facing each other now, hands still clasped between them, breathing the same air. What if I'm not willing to give you anything? Yun whispers. Then I'll wait until you are. That could take years. I'll wait decades if I have to. The raw honesty in Ryun's voice undoes something in Yun's chest. He leans forward, just slightly. Ryan's breath catches. The space between them shrinks to nothing. A gunshot shatters the night. Stay with the boys. Ryan is on his feet before the echo of the gunshot fades. His gun appears in his hand like magic, and he's moving toward the door with lethal precision. Yun scrambles up, heart hammering. What's happening? I don't know. But you don't leave this room. Understand? Another gunshot. Closer this time. Then shouting, rapid Korean, orders being barked, the distinct sound of combat. Jaehoon sits bolt upright in bed. Father. Under the bed. All of you. Now. Ryan's voice cuts through the chaos. Yun, get them hidden. But before Yun can move, the door explodes inward. Not kicked. Blown. The force sends splinters flying across the room. Ryan dives in front of the boys' beds, shielding them with his body as smoke billows through the doorway. A figure emerges from the smoke. Tall, lean, wearing tactical gear. He pulls off his mask and Yun's blood runs cold. Director Choi. Ryan's consigliera. The man who replaced Director Han after his death. Sir, Choi says, his voice perfectly pleasant, like he's greeting Ryoon at a business meeting instead of pointing a gun at his head. I'm disappointed. I expected better security from you. Ryoon doesn't lower his weapon. What is this? A hostile takeover. Choi steps further into the room. Behind him, 3 more armed men fan out, weapons trained on Ryoon. You've gone soft, Kang Ryoon. Chasing after a runaway Omega. Abandoning the business. Hiding in the mountains like a hermit. The organization needs stronger leadership. The organization follows me. The organization follows power. And you gave yours away the moment you chose that Omega over the Empire. Choi's eyes flick to Yoon, cold and assessing. Though I understand the appeal. For heirs in one birth. Remarkable genetics. They'll make excellent symbols once I've taken control. Ryan's finger tightens on the trigger. You won't touch them. I don't need to touch them. I just need them to exist. Choi smiles. The 4 lost princes of the Kang bloodline, raised under my guardianship after their father's tragic death. The perfect legitimacy for my rule. Taejun starts crying. Daehoon is sobbing into his pillow. Jaehoon has Miho pressed against the wall behind him, his small body tense and ready to fight despite his terror. Yoon moves without thinking, positioning himself between Choi and the beds. Choi's smile widens. Ah, the protective Omega. How touching. Don't worry, I'll let you live long enough to wean them. Then you'll join Ryoon in whatever afterlife awaits traitors. You're the traitor, Ryoon says, his voice deadly calm. And you've just signed your death warrant. Have I? Choi gestures to his men. I have 12 soldiers in this compound. You have 4 guards left alive, all pinned down in the East Wing. Your precious Aunt Mira is secured in her cottage, unharmed for now. And you have an Omega and 4 children to protect. He tilts his head. The math doesn't favor you, sir. Ryan's jaw clenches. Yoon can see him calculating, running scenarios, trying to find a way out that doesn't end with his children in Choi's hands. There isn't one. Let them go, Ryan says quietly. Take me. Take the organization. Just let them go. No. Yoon's voice cracks. Ryan, don't. I'm not negotiating, Choi interrupts. I'm informing you of reality. Lower your weapon, or I start shooting children. We'll see how many you can watch die before you comply. One of Choi's men shifts his aim toward Jaehoon's bed. Ryan lowers his gun. Good. Choi steps forward, hand extended for the weapon. Now we can. Ryan pulls the trigger. The shot takes Choi in the shoulder, spinning him backward. Chaos erupts. Ryan moves like lightning, using Choi's body as a shield, firing at the other men with brutal efficiency. 2 drop immediately. The 3rd gets a shot off. Yoon sees it happen in slow motion. The gun rising. The barrel aimed at Ryoon's unprotected back. The finger tightening on the trigger. He doesn't think. Just moves. His body collides with Ryoon's just as the gun fires. Heat blooms across Yoon's left shoulder, followed by a pain so sharp it steals his breath. They go down together in a tangle of limbs, Yoon's blood already soaking through his shirt. Yoon! Ryan's scream is raw, animal. He shoves Yoon behind him, firing blindly. The 3rd man drops. Choi is crawling toward the door, leaving a blood trail. Ryan puts a bullet in his spine. Then he's turning, hands shaking as they hover over Yoon's shoulder. No. Yoon, stay with me. Stay with me. I'm okay. Yoon's voice sounds distant to his own ears. Just grazed me, I think. You're bleeding everywhere. Better me than you. Ryoon's hands cup Yoon's face, and there are tears streaming down his cheeks. Kang Ryoon, who Yoon has never seen cry, is sobbing. You stupid, beautiful idiot. Why would you? Those boys need their father. I need you. The words explode out of Ryoon like they've been trapped for 5 years. I need you, Yoon. I can't do this without you. I can't breathe without you. I've been half dead for 5 years and I can't. Heavy footsteps thunder in the hallway. Ryoon spins, gun raised, but it's his scarred second-in-command who appears in the doorway, weapon ready. Sir, the perimeter is breached. Choi's men. Handle it. Ryan's voice is steel and desperation. Lock down the compound. Medical team to this location now. And get my son somewhere safe. The man's eyes widen as he sees Yoon's blood-soaked shoulder, but he nods and disappears, barking orders into his radio. Jaehoon emerges from behind the bed, pale but composed. Father, Taejun won't stop screaming. Ryan looks torn, his hands still pressed against Yoon's wound. I can't leave him. Go, Yoon grits out. I'm not dying from a shoulder wound. Your sons need you. Ryoon hesitates for one more agonizing second, then moves to the beds. He gathers Taejun into his arms while the boy screams and thrashes, then pulls Daehoon close with his other arm. Miho and Jaehoon press against his sides. "Listen to me," Ryoon says, his voice cutting through the chaos. "You're all safe. The bad men are gone. Your father handled it. Do you understand?" Taejun's screams fade to sobs. "Mommy's bleeding again. Like in my dream. Mommy is fine. It's just a small hurt. He's very brave, isn't he?" For pairs of eyes turn to Yoon. He manages a weak smile, even though the pain is starting to sharpen into something agonizing. "Very brave," he confirms. "I'm okay, babies." The medical team arrives within minutes. They're professional, efficient, working to stabilize Yoon while Aunt Mira appears, disheveled but unharmed, to take the boys. She ushers them out despite their protests, promising hot chocolate and a story. Only Jaehoon lingers in the doorway, watching with his father's calculating eyes. "Is Mommy really okay?" "Yes," Ryoon says. "I promise." Jaehoon nods once and leaves. The medic, a woman in her 40s with steady hands, works quickly. "Bullet went clean through. Missed the bone. He'll need stitches and antibiotics, but he'll heal." Ryan's entire body sags with relief. "You're lucky," the medic continues, threading a needle. "Few centimeters to the right, and it would have hit the subclavian artery. He'd have bled out in minutes." "I'm aware," Ryoon says tightly. The stitching is excruciating, but Yoon bites down on the leather strap they give him and endures. Ryoon holds his free hand the entire time, his grip almost painful in its intensity. Finally, it's done. The wound is cleaned, stitched, and bandaged. The medic administers antibiotics and pain medication, then leaves them alone with strict instructions about wound care and rest. Silence settles over the room. Bodies are being removed from the hallway. Someone is mopping blood from the floor. The compound is secure again, but the cost is written in bullet holes and broken doors. "You could have died," Ryoon says into the quiet. "So could you. I'm used to that risk." "So am I now." Yoon shifts, wincing at the pain that lances through his shoulder. 5 years of looking over my shoulder, Ryoon. 5 years of wondering if today would be the day they found us. I'm tired of being afraid. Ryoon moves to sit beside him on the floor, careful not to jostle his injury. "You shouldn't have to be. You should be," he stops. Swallows hard. "You should be safe. Happy. Free. I was never free. Not even when I ran." Yoon looks at him, really looks at him. "Because I left my heart here." Ryan's breath catches. "I hated you," Yoon continues. "For months, I hated you so much I couldn't breathe. But then Jaehoon was born, and he had your eyes. And I hated you more because I couldn't hate him. And then Daehoon smiled, and it was your smile, and Taejun threw his first tantrum with your temper, and Miho asked his first impossible question with your logic, and I realized." His voice breaks. "I realized I'd spent 5 years raising pieces of you. And I couldn't hate that. I couldn't hate them. And eventually I couldn't hate you either." Ryoon's hand trembles as it cups Yoon's face. "I don't deserve this. Any of this. I know. I failed you. I failed them. I know that too." Yoon leans into the touch despite everything. "But you're here now. And you took a bullet for us once, metaphorically. Tonight I return the favor. Literally." A broken laugh escapes Ryoon. "That's not funny. It's a little funny." Ryoon's forehead presses against Yoon's. They breathe the same air, existing in the same impossible space they've been orbiting for 5 years. "I love you," Ryoon whispers. "I never stopped. I don't think I'm capable of stopping. You're," his voice cracks. "You're everything. You and them. You're my entire world." Yoon's eyes burn. "Don't make promises you can't keep. Then I'll make ones I can." Ryoon's thumb traces Yoon's jawline with devastating gentleness. "I promise to protect you. I promise to honor your choices. I promise to put you and our sons above everything. The business, the empire, my own life. I promise to spend every day proving I've changed. And I promise," his voice drops to barely a whisper, "I promise to love you until my last breath, whether you love me back or not." "You're an idiot," Yoon breathes. "I know. I should hate you. You should. But I don't." The admission feels like surrender and victory all at once. "I don't hate you, Ryoon. And that terrifies me more than anything Choi could have done." Ryoon's lips are so close. Close enough that when he speaks, they brush against Yoon's. "What do you feel? If not hate, everything else." The kiss is inevitable. Gentle at first, achingly tender, like Ryoon is afraid Yoon will shatter. But Yun's good hand fists in Ryoon's shirt, pulling him closer despite the pain in his shoulder. And the kiss deepens into something desperate and necessary. It tastes like tears and blood and 5 years of longing. Like forgiveness that hasn't been earned, but is being offered anyway. Like coming home after being lost for so long you forgot what home felt like. When they finally break apart, both breathless, Ryoon's eyes are red-rimmed but clear. I don't want the Mafia, he says. I don't want the Empire. I want our family. That's all. Just us. You can't just walk away. Watch me. Ryoon's voice is fierce. I'll burn it all down if I have to. Dissolve the organization. Distribute the assets. Disappear. We'll take new names, move somewhere quiet. The boys can go to regular schools. You can, he stops. What do you want, Yun? Tell me and I'll make it happen. Yun stares at him. At this man who built an empire on blood and ruthlessness, offering to tear it all down for the chance at something normal. I want them to be safe, Yun says. I want them to have childhoods. I want, his voice wavers. I want to stop being afraid. Then I'll make sure you never have to be afraid again. They sit together in the wreckage, holding each other as dawn breaks through the shattered window. Outside, the compound is being secured. Bodies removed. Damage assessed. But in this moment, it's just them, two broken people trying to piece together something whole. 2 weeks later, the estate is quiet. Choi's coup attempt has been dismantled. The traitors eliminated or imprisoned. Ryoon has spent every waking hour restructuring the organization, carefully transferring power to trusted subordinates while extricating himself from the network. The boys are healing. Taejin's nightmares are less frequent. Daehoon sleeps through the night more often than not. Miho's questions are back to philosophy instead of violence. And Jaehoon watches his parents with something that might be hope. Yun's shoulder is healing well. The stitches came out yesterday, leaving an angry red scar that Ryoon traces with his fingertips like it's something precious. They haven't discussed what comes next. Haven't labeled what they are to each other now. But Ryoon sleeps on the floor of the boys' room every night, and sometimes Yun joins him, and their hands find each other in the darkness. It's not forgiveness. Not yet. But it's something. Today, Ryoon is teaching the boys to fish in the stream that runs through the property. Yun watches from the porch, tea growing cold in his hands, heart impossibly full. Aunt Mira sits beside him. You're smiling. I know. I haven't seen Ryoon this happy in years. Not since I left, Yun finishes. Since he had something to live for besides survival. She pats his knee. You're good for him. You both are good for each other. Maybe. Yun wants to believe that. Wants to believe they can build something real from the ruins of what they were. The afternoon stretches into evening. Dinner is loud and chaotic. The boys talking over each other, Ryoon surprisingly patient with their chaos, Aunt Mira scolding everyone for eating too fast. Later, after baths and stories and goodnight kisses, Yun and Ryoon stand together on the porch. The night is clear, stars scattered across the sky like diamonds. Is this real? Yun whispers. Ryoon's arm settles around his waist, careful of his healing shoulder. It's real. What if something happens? What if? Then we handle it. Together. Yun leans into him, letting himself believe. Letting himself hope. They walk back inside, checking on the boys one last time before heading to their separate rooms. It's a routine now, this careful dance of proximity and distance, rebuilding trust inch by inch. But when Yun opens the door to the boys' room, his heart stops. 4 empty beds. Blankets thrown back. Window open, curtain billowing in the night breeze. On Jaehoon's pillow, a note. Yun's scream shatters the peaceful night. Ryoon is there in seconds, reading the note over his shoulder. His face goes white. If you want your sons back, come alone. Both of you. The warehouse at the old port. Midnight. No guards. No weapons. Or we start sending pieces. Yun's knees give out. Ryoon catches him, but barely. He's shaking too hard. No, Yun gasps. No. Not them. Please not them. Ryoon's arms tighten around him. When he speaks, his voice is murder. I'll get them back. I swear to you, Yun. I'll bring our sons home. We'll get them back, Yun corrects, his voice steady despite the tears. Together. Their eyes meet in the darkness. An understanding passes between them. Whatever comes next, whatever hell waits at that warehouse, they face it as one. For their sons. For their family. For the impossible, fragile thing growing between them that might be love, or might be survival, or might be both. The clock on the wall ticks toward midnight.